But one thing that I believe is really tied, and I will explain later on in a different episode, because you know I always come back, but it is the diagnosis. Okay.
Yeah, what's good? It's your boy, Woodz. In this video, you guys, we're going to kind of get down to business a little bit. We're going to try to figure out a few things, and also I want you to pay attention to a few things, okay? One of the main reasons why I have not been able to release my newest Whispy theory is because you guys are not ready yet. And I say that with the most respect, okay? I want you guys to understand I always say these things only for, for us to actually come back to them and for it to make more sense along the way. If I give it to you now, you will only be more confused than when you started. So, until then, we're going to understand certain things about why, okay, we are on the right track and how we can understand the track as it is being written, okay? Now, understand something. When I brought up my connection towards Need for Speed, a few people brought up something very interesting to me, and it's funny because this is the human mind at work trying to debunk something that they know nothing about without going deep enough, okay? And this is what I mean about understanding things before you choose the negative route, okay? If you had chose the positive route, you would go deeper to understand certain things, okay, and ties to one another and understand why these companies are a lot more closer than you think. Whereas a lot of fanboys get all hyped up over what system is this and what system is that, or what game is this and what game is that. The fact of the matter is this: a lot of these companies, gaming or even movie making, they're all tied to each other within certain aspects of people. It's a family tree, if you will. I want you guys to understand something. There's a reason, okay, they mentioned Back to the Future in this game, especially dictating a big aspect of this mystery. Okay, it's not only so we can pay attention to history. It's not only so we can understand what the game implies, like why Michael, okay, is the one who watches movies and he is the one who sees things in slow motions. Okay, you got to understand when he sees different things in slow motion, that is the game implying that what he sees, aka movies, is implied to be in slow motion. Okay, but Need for Speed came out in 2014, and a few people debated that this was irrelevant to bring up the movie because GTA came out in 2013. Now, understand something. I want you guys to ask yourself, how is it possible that The Simpsons or even Back to the Future predicted 9/11? How did they do this? Okay, I want you to understand that this is the same thing that Rockstar did, okay? They are implying future events only for your mind to connect the rest. It's the same thing as presenting a glass of water half full, but asking you, is it half full or half empty? It's your choice. I look at things at half full, and that is because the positive route is what is going to lead to newer things, and I've proven that time and time again. Now, once again, segregating something like Scott from Great Scott in the movie that they make noted to be within this mystery relevant can give us clues. And within a universal clue, we can understand Scott as in Scottish or Scotland. This is David Jones, the creator, okay, of Grand Theft Auto. Alright, so I want you guys to understand this is very relevant, okay, within the game. And why they even, and me, mention golf. Because Scotland is regaled for being the home and originator of golf. Okay? Understand every bit of what I've brought up in this mystery makes fucking sense. And I find it very funny because a lot of people just don't want to see it. That's what they want to see people fail. That's what's pretty sad in this world. But I want you guys to understand that not only will we not fail, but we couldn't be more on the right path in this mystery, okay? I'm here to show you this because I care. I could have kept a lot of this information for myself, but I choose to inform a lot of you who care because you actually care. You appreciate, and that's what they wanted us to do and understand certain things. Now, enough of me yapping. I want you guys to understand something. David Jones, okay, is tied to a few games, okay? He is tied, okay, to not just GTA, but Shadow of a Beast, like I brought up, okay? But he's tied to a game called Menace in 1988, okay? Once again, a universal tool, as we've noted, to be in the mystery, okay? And once again, Psygnosis, okay, is a big part of the mystery that we need to understand, okay? That is part of it. It's once again about spaceships and whatnot. You need to understand, the originator of GTA actually cared a lot about aliens, a lot more than you guys think. And you need to understand, once again, it's part of GTA's fucking past. And I've been saying this shit, no lie, for 100 fucking videos. And it's funny because, you know, just when we find more and more things, that's when people seem to give up more and more. You need to choose the right path within this because honestly, it is what determines if you are going to move on within information, okay? But like I said, this game deals with a lot of aspects of helicopters, submarines, even jet fighters, okay? But they're all tied to aspects of aliens, alright? Killing aliens. Like, you guys gotta understand, once again, this is tied to what the fuck they're showing us in GTA 5. And it's all about their fucking past and why it's tied to other companies' past and other aspects of the mystery. Now, once again, notice how he is tied to two of the GTAs that I've brought up the most that is tied to the mystery and GTA 5. That is Grand Theft Auto 1 and Grand Theft Auto 2. Okay? But one thing that we're going to pay attention to here is a remake. Okay? A remake of a duality. There is a duality within Grand Theft Auto, and it was by the name of APB. It is what actually paved the way for a thought of a game called Race and Chase that later became Grand Theft Auto. Okay? Now, this man, okay, David Jones, went off to make a remake of this game called APB, All Points Bulletin, and he mapped it to red and blue. Once again, you guys, duality and the thoughts within good and evil. You have to understand. These things are all tied together and for fucking reasons. Now, I want you guys to understand, once again, Deep Silver, alright, are noted to be tied to the development on the PS4 version, the next-gen versions of this game, meaning that they have talked to each other. This is not like it happens, okay, and then they just do it the next day. They've been talking for years, okay, so you guys cannot look at Need for Speed coming out in 2014 and think, oh, well, they made it in 2014. No, the fucking movie was made, honestly, from 2012 to 2013. And you need to understand that this is relevant because these companies know each other way beyond your belief. Once again, we need to understand certain aspects of segregating, like the main company that distributed this game, which was EA. Now, once again, EA, alright, tying within the aspects of the mystery, are tied to Need for fucking Speed. Now, why does this all tie to the fucking movie, and why do we need to pay attention to the movie? Why this, why that? Well, I'll show you along the way, but I need your mind to be open. Now, once again, I want you guys to understand, throughout this video, I'm going to show an immense amount of proof, not only towards our process, but towards the ethic of understanding different clues, okay? Not just making a clue, but understanding the clue for what it is, and then understanding should we go deeper or not. Now, understanding EA is once again only half of the battle. Here we need to understand the different clues that it tells us, okay? Like aspects of Need for Speed, okay? But also it being the headquarters, okay, in Redwood City. Now, if you ever wonder why GTA pretty much throws Redwood cigarettes in our fucking face, now you do. Okay, and this is part of what I mean by true fines to bullshit physical fines. You can go and try and search for days throwing sticky bombs or anything you want on the fucking map, but guess what? Until you understand that half of the shit that they hid was outside of the fucking game, but only within in the right order, okay? You cannot seem to think that you understand certain things until you have gone deeper. And that's my whole point here, you guys. I don't want you to be too confused with a lot of the dramatic aspects of my channel or any of the things. I want you to understand there is a point to this, okay? No matter how we learn it, there is a point. It's all about your understanding of belief or not. Now, that's one thing I'm going to be getting into a little bit later, is the aspect of believing or not. But once again, understanding that the creator, okay, of Grand Theft Auto not only has ties to Electronic Arts, but Electronic Arts has an immense amount of ties to Need for Speed. So now understanding some of the universal clues that we have gained henceforth, we need to understand that Scott, okay, is a valuable clue within this mystery. Not even just for Great Scott, but understanding that Scotland and other ethics of segregate and rearrange need to be applied, okay? Need for Speed, the film was directed by Scott Way, okay? But not only that, it actually featured another character who flew the helicopter in the movie, and his name was Scott Mescudi, or Kid Cudi. And, well, before you go off to say, well, once again, you know, you're just batshit crazy, you're going off making weird connections, all this and that, you need to understand even the content within his music and why it pertains to day and night, okay? Understand that Rockstar paid attention to everything around what was going on. They knew what was going on. They knew who was being casted. They understood the fucking clues in front of them, and they rearranged them into the mystery that we see forth. You need to understand that this is a big part of how they put this fucking mystery together, okay? Now, right now, we're not even going to necessarily pay attention to Aaron Paul, okay? Even though he is one of our biggest clues, and I will be coming back to him eventually, okay? I want you to understand Michael Keaton, okay? Now, Mr. Michael Keaton here, alright, played Batman. Now, the reason why I say it like that is because who's to say that the bat on the Altruist Camp Rock is not something we need to pay attention to within duality? Whether understanding essences of a bat being held by a character we need to pay attention to, or even the literal sense of a bat being placed on a man. Okay? Understand that he did not just do Batman here. He did a few other things. And what's even more interesting here is that Mr. Michael Keaton was reportedly, okay, casted as Dr. Jack Shepherd from Lost. Jack Sheep. So understand why they put a bat on top of that Altruist rock, and why the rock can be tied to Trevor, and why Trevor is tied to Jack Sheep. Brings a lot of relevancy. One thing you'll understand and notice is that flying rats is a euphemism for a bird and or a pigeon, alright? And it was a big, not necessarily Easter egg, but it was a big, you know, mini game / Easter egg. So, the thing that's interesting here, though, that I want you to keep in mind, and that will make more sense along the way, alright, is it's their sense of telling you what they mean with their wordplay. Now, what I mean by that wordplay, okay, is no different than why they imply a lot of aspects of mice and rodents within the game, and why a flying mouse and or a flying rat is a big euphemism when it comes to bats, okay? And even the aspect of dilapidation and balding coincide with aspects of a bat. Even when it comes down to one of the adaptations of a winged mouse, it was derived from Afrikaans language, okay? Now, again, you guys, I've brought up several things within this mystery, and each one of those things are all pointing towards ethics of the connections that I'm showing you today, and they are only building our theory that much stronger.
But we need to pay attention. He was also in a movie called White Noise, where they were discovering different aspects of spirits, okay, through noise and sound frequencies. Even some of the characters and where their names came from within GTA 5 can be traced to aspects of the years and the history of these people, like Mod, okay? Mod and the Mary Taylor Moore Hour, okay, was one of the TV shows that Keaton left, alright, to be part of. And the thing here is not to be too fixated on Michael Keaton. Understanding him, okay, is something very, very relevant within the mystery and why we need to pay attention, okay? He even co-starred in a role in the comedy Night Shift, alright? And it was directed by Mr. Ron Howard. Now, I'll get back to Mr. Ron Howard in a minute, but I want you guys to understand a big part of what I mean by this and why we need to pay attention to the universal clues and why Beetlejuice is a big part of this mystery, but only so it can teach us some of the deeper steps into understanding why we need to shoot for the stars and why stars are relevant, okay? Now, I want you guys to clear your mind a little bit and understand. Did you ever wonder why we have a character within GTA San Andreas called Ryder? Now, I believe this to be a clue, alright? I believe this to be an ultimate clue that they were going to lead up to now, and it only makes more and more sense that it would be connected to Winona Ryder, and tying in a lot of the aspects of what she is tied to herself. Now, understand, this woman is very, very relevant within not only the mystery but connections. Now, Miss Winona Ryder here has starred in a few movies, most notably Beetlejuice, and also she has been part of the Alien series, part of Alien Resurrection. Now, I want you guys to understand, I'm going to come back to that. We need to know when we can come back to certain things so they can be put in the right order, because order, okay, is a big part of the rules within this mystery and or laws within this mystery, okay? Even within aspects of certain movies that she's been in, I want you guys to understand, she is tied to Star Trek, okay, a J.J. Abrams film, alright, and J.J. Abrams will make the show Lost, okay? And this is what me and herbalists are talking about a lot of the times when we say one grand circle. We don't mean literally going in a circle to backtrack just so that nothing happens. I mean, we have discovered the different horns on the Docker and possibly more. We have discovered that there are different suns. We have discovered that there are different steps hidden within movies and other aspects of life, okay? We have understood these things by this grand circle, okay? Once again, understanding that within GTA's mythos, okay, once again tying back to GTA's history, 1969 is a big part of their history. dealing with GTA London 1969 and a lot of the clues that they have set forth. Now, in 1988, this movie was created. Now, why am I going to this movie? So it can branch, so you guys can understand something a little deeper, okay? And why it would ultimately go down to stemming into a duality. One being Keith Sutherland and one being Robert Downey Jr. And ultimately we need to understand certain things aside from him being part of the 24 series, and I made a lot of note in this mystery for them using 24, okay, and the hours of 24 as a ploy within clues, okay? And there are reasons for this, but I want you guys to understand one of the biggest reasons is for not only the references within the game and the references within the show, but the references within the mystery and why they all tie together, okay? They're all to teach us certain things. And this all ties back to aspects of Young Guns, okay? But before we even go to Young Guns, I want you guys to understand, once again, there are word plays and understandings with this. Like within Young Guns, him playing a guy named Doc, okay? And we know Doc Brown to be in Back to the Future, or his name within 1969 to be Scott, once again, proving a universal tool. They do this shit for reasons, okay? And a stranger is very relevant within this mystery. I've made that note within Trevor's possible father and him being a strange man and or a stranger and freak. Now, strangers are very relevant within this mystery, and yes, I'm going to say it again, because it is, and I want you guys to understand why, okay? It all amounts to something, and it always comes to a conclusion, but these conclusions are to tie into grander aspects of understanding so that we can get what we are understanding. If we're just throwing out UFO, jetpack, anything that we think is known, then yes, we'll have anything. But we understand certain keys, okay? 88, okay? Blue, all right? We need to understand Scott, Doc, certain things that tie within not only the mystery, but things that I have made note for us to pay attention to. Ace, it's no different, okay? And I want you guys to understand it a little bit more sternly than my other videos. Now, one of the main things I want you to understand here is that, once again, these clues are multi-spectrumed, okay? And that they can lead you down fucked up paths, and it's no different than a maze. There are several different ways to enter a maze, okay? But there's usually about one path that actually takes you to the goal. But you need to not only stay on that right path, but understand where the path ultimately goes back to. Because you will fall into another path that leads the wrong way. You will, okay? It's inevitable. But understanding when you can go back to something and understand when you were either wrong or right, or that it makes more relevancy than others, is how we will solve this mystery. And it's how we can understand certain things that are hidden within this game and why they hid it in such a deep aspect, okay? Now, one of the main things we're going to pay attention to here, okay, more than others, is Robert Downey Jr. But before I go to Robert Downey Jr., I want you to understand why he's even relevant and why we're going to make the connection, okay? Aside from him already being tied to a connection, okay? And this will prove that we are on the right track. Now, Winona Ryder, okay, once again, she starred in the movie Alien Resurrection. Now, in Alien Resurrection, okay, this movie was made and written by Josh Whedon. Now, once again, this is why our branch is growing stronger, and we are understanding what the fuck we're really looking at here, and why the connection builds a stronger connection to what we need to understand, like what he makes, the Avengers,
who stars in the Avengers, Mr. Robert Downey Jr. Okay? So, understand, aliens, okay, ultimately tied us right back to heroes and things we need to pay attention to. Okay? Even Jack Kirby. Now, for those of you who are anal about physical shit and want to see, well, dude, this doesn't make any sense and you didn't really tie anything to the game. Okay, well, pay the fuck attention, okay? Because this is what I mean about not understanding a fucking Easter egg. Bishops, what the fuck? Okay? Now, believe it or not, this is a huge reference to Ripley's. Okay? Believe it or not. But understand that they put alien only for it, okay, for it to be a reference to Ripley's, believe it or not, and or Aliens, the Resurrection. Okay? We needed to pay attention to an alien movie. Now, what we're going to do here is show a little bit more of this process in work, okay? Understanding that Beetlejuice, okay, is tied to Michael Keaton, we can understand that not only within 1988 that Ryder, okay, is tied to Winona Ryder, and us to pay attention to Michael Keaton, but us to pay attention to Batman, and even the ethics of Need for Speed. But there's something else we're supposed to understand, and it is tied to a movie that he was in. Not just Night Shift like I brought up earlier, but another movie called Clean and Sober. Now within the game, they imply a lot of drug usage. Now, for this movie to tie to 88 is pretty interesting, and I feel as though it's a clue nonetheless. But the fact of the matter here is that just like Night Shift, okay, it was produced by Ron Howard. Now, once again, why is Ron Howard even relevant? Alright, now, not only was he Opie on Andy Griffith, alright, but he also starred in the first season sitcom of Dennis the Menace. Now, that's not the relevant part here that I want you to pay attention to. That's something I'm going to bring up to you in a different episode. I want you to pay attention to the more relevant things about Mr. Ron Howard here, and that is his filmography. Okay? Most notably when he even started his film career when it comes to creating. As a director, he started in 1969. Once again, a universal clue. He started with old paint. Okay, this could be a relevancy toward a lot of the different graffiti aspects and artistic aspects of paint throughout the game. As I said, they imply graffiti for a reason other than just LA. But even when it comes down to a lot of the art galleries, they imply paint to be looked at some point, even in the hippie camps. Or even looking at the most important mountain in the game, we see that old paint runs. We need to understand it. Even when it comes down to aspects of, once again, wordplay and Star Trek, once again, J.J. Abrams, beam me up, Scotty. Okay, we need to understand Scott is a tool here, and no different than old paint. Not only that, but deed of Deering, okay? Now, we'll get into that in a different episode too, but I want you to understand the keys here, okay? There are cards, cats, guns, gore, and death. After that was his first real film, Grand Theft Auto. So once again, right before he made his film with Michael Keaton, he made a film called Grand Theft Auto. And this is part of what I mean, you guys, by understanding when things are relevant, okay? Tools and clues that are relevant within this mystery that tie things together, because that's how this mystery was created. It tied a lot of the aspects of observation, okay? Observation that are connected to things that are in the game
okay, that we need to see the right way. Even Willow, a 1988 film, gives aspects to a cane, and even within wordplay, a willow tree. I mean, seriously, guys, even deals with aspects of a sword of sorcery, okay, and Val Kilmer, okay, who played Batman later on in his career. Now, I want you to understand something here. Ron Howard even made Apollo 13, okay, but one of the best movies that he ever made was The Da Vinci Code, okay. As a producer, he was on The Da Vinci Code. Now, why is this tied to anything, right? I think this ties to Big Smoke, and why a lot of the aspects tie right back to the game, and why the game has implied so many clues when it comes down to religion or even the aspects of movies. We're supposed to understand the different branches that it ties into. Why the Da Vinci Code ties to Ron Howard, and why all of this even ties to Tom Hanks. Tom Hanks was in a 1988 movie called Big. Once again, a clue tied to a character that we have known to be in the game. Big Smoke. Okay, I want you guys to really understand within a nutshell how we understand what we understand, okay? Because within this video, we basically decoded why Ryder and Big Smoke are even clues within the GTA history, okay? And why they've only gained us more and more knowledge into what we're looking for. We took Need for Speed, understood why it has a correlation to the creator of Grand Theft Auto, and that being EA is what connected them. Now from EA we understood the movie of Need for Speed and why it tied the actors, that being Michael Keaton. Now Michael Keaton gave us an understanding of his past work, and a trigger, 88. Us understanding that trigger understood a movie. That movie was tied to Winona Ryder. Winona Ryder was word play for us understanding a piece of Rockstar's past, and that was Ryder. Now, understanding Ryder, we understood that Ryder was a different clue than we could ever understand. Now, we're going to do the same thing for Big Smoke. Now, going back to our source material, which was Michael Keaton, we understood that he had a tie, okay? A huge tie within the aspect of 1988. But not only 1988, but Winona Ryder's tie to 1969. And that movie being tied to Robert Downey Jr. And Robert Downey Jr. being tied to Joss Whedon. Joss Whedon is tied to Aliens. Now, if we understood that, okay, then Michael Keaton is super strong within our understanding. So going back right to the source material, that being Michael Keaton, we understand a little bit more that Michael Keaton is tied to Ron Howard, and Ron Howard, being a clue himself, is tied to being a red hair, something that the Epsilon talks about. Now, if we were to understand that as a trigger word, okay, then we need to understand that that is a symbol for a clue that we need to pay attention to. That clue was Ron Howard's past, and why he was tied to 1969, and also tied to Grand Theft Auto, literally. Now, understanding that he was tied to Grand Theft Auto can make us understand why Grand Theft Auto is tied to the Da Vinci Code, a movie that Ron Howard produced. Now, if we understood that that is all correct within our path, Tom Hanks is our tie to Big, and EA being located in Redwood, and Redwood being tied to cigarettes, that being Smoke. So understanding when we have decoded Ryder and Big Smoke. Okay, so before I go, you guys, I want you to understand something. You have a choice, okay, to believe what I'm saying as complete fucking bullshit. You can believe my connection towards
his Scottish background and Scott being tied to Back to the Future, you can doubt it as much as you want. You can doubt the fact that they showed us 1988 for a reason, and 1988 was when he founded DMA Design. You can doubt a lot of things. You can even doubt his creation of the game Lemmings, and doubt a lot of the wordplay here, or even doubt the relevancy of Atari that I've brought up, or even doubt what I just got done bringing up about flying rats and why rats have something to do with the mystery, or even why a lemming is tied to the subfamily, okay, that actually created, alright, rats, mice, hamsters, and gerbils. Once again, keys that tie things together. And if you don't want to see them, close your fucking eyes, because they're everywhere. Spread the truth. So I'm pretty sure a lot of you are asking, well, what does this have to do with a lot of the religion and a lot of the aspects of certain mythologies you brought up, and what does that have to do with any of this? Well, once again, you guys, there's a reason why they chose certain people, certain things, and certain aspects of the mystery to pay attention to, and that was for correlation. Even when understanding that a lot of this mystery is biblical and methodical, but it's mostly tied to Greek mythology and Titans. No different than Kronos, the god of time. But in a game where on ties towards EA and biblical aspects of Greek mythology, it's pretty interesting that there's a game that EA produced called Titanfall. Now, I couldn't make myself more clear here, okay? Understand, you guys, David Jones and Rockstar North have such a big connection towards not only EA, but Saints Row, and the color seeing, and all of the aspects of the clues that I've been showing you, that they even show it throughout their history. Okay? Understand, you guys. Rockstar North, okay, are known for a lot of things, but one thing that they are known for are their many games like GTA 3. When it was released for the Xbox, it was released from Rockstar Vienna. Now let's understand a color, seeing, and understand a connection to a saint and why it ties to Deep Silver as their successor. Deep Silver Vienna was the successor to Rockstar Vienna. Once again, you guys, Saints Row and GTA are a lot more connected, and this is no different, okay, than with all of the other aspects of the other companies, even Team Bandai, and why they tie to LA Noire, but why the developers of Team Bandai still tie right back to EA, as Aaron Hoffman, okay, as she wrote a blog about the many practices of EA, okay? So understand, once again, people who worked for Rockstar, okay, are all tied and all connected to EA, a game that is based for Need for Speed. But that is not the only thing and the only person here that is tied to EA.
Xbox, go to Titanfall. Picking you. I like you. Oh, it's happening. I'm gonna go kill some Titans.
No different than Kronos, the god of time.
cyan blue meth, and a baseball bat. Interesting.